Hello, my name is AG. Welcome to my channel. Today on my channel I will be talking about all things football. We'll be doing some very wonderful analysis throughout the season. We'll be talking about the team I support specifically and football in general. Anyway, as you can tell by now, I'm an Arsenal fan. So for this shot today, I will be talking about what we're looking forward to as Arsenal fans for the beginning of the 18-19 season, talking about Unai Emery and his tactics throughout the season. Welcome to my channel. First and foremost, talking about 18-19 season, I'd like to give a big thank you to Arsene Wenger. I mean, he's been at the club for a long time, and he actually, Arsenal fans towards the end of his tenure can talk about all sort of stuff about how there was discord among fans, how the club wasn't moving forward. Which is a genuine statement, to be honest. But to be honest, at the same time, he gave us, this platform to be able to expect more before you can really expect more from Arsenal. So I'd like to say a big thank you for Arsene Wenger for all the time he spent in Arsenal and for actually pushing the club forward. Obviously it's a new season now. It's a season for Unai Emery, and then I think we welcome Unai Emery as well into our club, and we're wishing him every much success. Now let's talk about Unai Emery. Unai Emery, as we all know, has come from PSG. He spent 2 years in PSG and he was very successful at PSG. Emery, having signed from PSG, obviously he was very successful at PSG. He won the title Ligue 1 in PSG. He was very successful in the Champions League. Obviously he didn't win the Champions League, but he took PSG quite far in the Champions League as well. In fact, in his time at PSG, he also won 3 cups, which it constituted a bit of a success in PSG. Now let's talk about Emery in Arsenal. Unai Emery has now come in. Obviously it's pre-season, and what we've seen so far from Unai Emery is very, very positive. Unlike the old Arsenal, normally we always at the time of pre-season, we're always looking forward to which players are coming in, which players are we coming in, which players are we moving on, which players are we moving on. We can see that change already. In the beginning of the season, we can see Arsenal has made quite a few signings already, 5 so far. And then we can also see that at least pre-season is a little bit different from what it could be. It's working the players real hard. The players are really working hard, which is one of the things Arsenal fans have always wanted. But as the season progresses, it almost feels like the players are not fit enough. We used to have a lot of injuries, and then the players never really reached their physical peak at games, because when things were going what tough teams do is they drive all the way to 90 minutes. It almost feels like sometimes we get to the 75th minute, 79th minute, and our levels just drop. And even when we're leading games, we get to lose or draw games because our levels drop, and then the other teams get stronger and they come onto us. Now, what we've seen so far in this pre-season is that Emery is working the team really hard, and that's a positive from our perspective. So 2 wonderful positives is early signing of players as well as hard work at pre-seasons. We know they're doing 2 sessions or 3 sessions a day, and it's beginning to show on some of the players. They know as well that this is the opportunity to show what each player is made of to the new manager. From the pre-season game so far, we've also seen something else. Unai Emery has big passion for the game. You can see he always wants to win. He's a winner, and as a result of that, he's backing others. From the touchline. It's a mere pre-season game, but you can see he's shouting, he's backing others. Obviously, some of his English is not clear enough yet to the players, but you can at least with his hand gesture, with his communication, players coming to the touchline to speak to him, you can actually see that he has a clear view and a clear vision of what he wants them to do, and he's passing on that message to the best of his ability, and I think that's a positive. We've also often seen a few times when we're losing the game, or the game is not really going well. Sometimes it's just Steve Bold stand up from the bench to speak to the players. You can't really see much communication from the bench from Arsene Wenger, but I think it's going to be entirely totally different this time around. I think Unai Emery will be calling players to the touchline, will be telling them what they need to do, will be analysing what they need to do in the game. He will be happy to change tactics during the game as well. So I think it's an exciting time. Before I end this video, we're going to talk about 4 things in general. The first thing I want to address or talk about now is Unai Emery's philosophy. In Unai Emery's first interview, he was asked the question, so what brand of football do you bring with you to Arsenal? and he made it absolutely clear that day that he likes attacking football. He likes football where, you know, Arsenal enjoy a lot of the possession and then they keep the ball as much as they can. He also emphasized the fact that when his team doesn't have the ball, he likes his team to work really hard to work and get the ball back. Obviously, if you don't have the ball, if your opponents don't have the ball, they can't score against you, or they can't play their football against you. So that's one thing as well. You know, our ability to be able to hunt the ball when we don't have the ball, and obviously when we have the ball, to make use of the ball very, very well. The second thing I want to address is what is needed for the season now that we're going into the season, or now that we're already in the season. Now, what is needed for the season is for the players to keep trying to improve technically and tactically to the ways of Unai Emery. But more importantly, working at every new manager that's come to the Premier League, I found out that the Premier League is not very easy. It's a very physically demanding league, and as a result, the players have to be all up to optimum level, you know, of stamina to be able to withstand games, tough games in the season. You're playing in the winter period, you're playing in the heat period just at the beginning of August. You know, that in itself is physically demanding. So what is needed for the season is a lot of technical and tactical adjustments to Unai Emery's way, as well as being in good physical condition for the season ahead of us. Of course, we'll be playing the Europa League. You know, and as we found out last year, Europa League, there's so many travel involved, so many games involved compared to when you play in the Champions League, and as a result, that puts a lot of toll, a lot of pressure on the body. So the players need to make sure that their body, and obviously Unai Emery as well with his team, are making sure the players are conditioned well. You know, and also we want to avoid a lot of injuries this season for us to be successful. The third thing I want to talk about will be what will constitute success for Arsenal Football Club this season. What will really constitute success is, to be honest with me, is just to get some sort of stability in the club, where we have, you know, unity among the fans, and where we finish as high up as possible, at least better than where we finished last season. And what's that? Probably finish fourth or win the Europa League if possible. If you cannot win, you know, if you cannot finish fourth but play good football, and then maybe we'll find out that the league was very difficult, but the players tried their best, but technically and tactically Emery just about missed out. At least winning the Europa League will still put us back into the Champions League, which is where we belong, and that's why I believe will constitute success. Win a few cups, win the Europa Cup or Europa League as well as find ourselves in the Champions League. I think it will be a good season for Unai Emery and his team. The final thing I want to talk about are the concerns I have ahead of the season. Yes, we've made some early signings, we've made some really good signings, but I'm a bit worried about some of the players, the age of the players. Got Liechtenstein, obviously we've kept Bellerin, you know, so you know that's still going to be positive, but maybe in games where we need to close out the game and we need a bit of experience, Stefan Liechtenstein can come in, you know, to help with the experience. But one thing we might find out is that if we're looking at Socrates as our main defender, he doesn't seem to have a lot of pace, and that's something that could be a challenge when you play in the Premier League, because teams just run onto you. Some teams have good pace, and then, you know, it takes him being technical enough to know how to keep his distance, you know, so that he's not always caught up, you know, when there's a runner behind him. So I think the concerns generally, I know I use Socrates as an example, but the concern generally is how we can, you know, make sure we get the best out of these aging players in Socrates and Liechtenstein. I know, I mean, with Nzonzi, if Nzonzi comes to Arsenal, you know, I mean, obviously in his age as well, and he's not blessed with that much pace. You know, we're hoping, you know, that, you know, he can blend in the team properly. But I think that's just a bit of a concern, that we don't seem to have a lot of pace, you know, from the midfield behind in the team to the back in the team, and that could hurt us a little bit. So that's probably one of the things that technically and tactically, as the team work together, we need to find a way not to be caught up in that with that issue. Obviously, these are my thoughts ahead of a new season. You know, it's exciting time for we Arsenal fans. You know, I've never looked forward to the season as much as I'm looking forward to this one. You know, I think it's something to do with the new management. It's something to do with the change in structure. You know, I think it's something to look forward to, something different. You know, yes, Arsene Wenger made us successful, but you know, it's an exciting time for we all Arsenal fans. Come on, let's get out there and support our team. Come on, you Gunners. Come on, Arsenal. Come on, Emery. Come on, fans. Let's go. Let's do this. We can do this. 18-9 season is ours. Come on, Arsenal.